Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing: single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today we have a special show where I'm going to be trying some truly vintage whiskey right on the air with you. Should be a fun day today. I've got a couple of friends that gave me some of this to taste. My name is Steve Akley, and this is the show. Well, welcome, guys. It's just me today. I just wanted to do this special show. Again, I got these small sample bottles. Actually, Darren procured them for me, so from the ABV Barrel Shop. He ran into a couple friends of mine out there, and they allowed him to come over, sample some of these cool things, and they're like, hey, give these to Steve. And to his credit, at least he gave me 4 of them. There may be more than that. So as the show comes out, maybe these guys will be like, hey, we actually gave you 6 to give to Steve, and he's only got 4 there. I will find out. This will be a way to flush him out to make sure that he's honest. So I don't want to say who actually gave me these because nothing that they did wrong, but I just don't want people bugging them for, this sort of thing. So this was given to me as a gift to try. And rather than just doing that in the privacy of my own home, I thought I'd share that with you guys because this is truly a unique experience. It's one of the coolest things that I get to do, this idea of tasting really old whiskey. And, you get some interesting people through the years when you do what I do. And I've been blessed. I've got the opportunity to try this type of stuff in the past, and I love doing it. It's truly is. It's like tasting history. I don't know that there's anything else. Even people who love wine and stuff like that, eventually there's a time when wine goes bad. It turns into vinegar, they say. There could be the right conditions where wine maybe can last longer. You find it in a cool cave or something like that, and bottles were stored there. Perhaps, I don't know. But one thing I do know, though, if it's stored properly, whiskey, the air's not allowed into it, and you don't lay it on its side where it's touching the cork and that type of thing. It literally could be perhaps in the bottle indefinitely. And it allows you to go back and taste things the way they used to be made, and really it connects you to the people that made this whiskey and connects you to history. So it's a cool thing. I think it's one of the most important parts of the whiskey hobby is to be able to connect with those in the past and remember them. And I think that's important. And it actually drives me in a lot of the stuff that I do. I always feel like some of the things that we do are really important. I don't think anything that we're doing right now is necessarily very important. I think that when you're, interviewing contemporaries, people from the world of bourbon today, I think that no one even thinks twice about it. It's just, you're talking to the people who are making whiskey and part of this big bourbon boom that we've got going on, and they may listen and may check it out, but they don't sign off thinking, historically that's a very important thing. But I think what happens is, or what will happen is, down the road, these things could be incredibly important. You go and you listen to these shows, 50 or 100 years from now, and it's a digital file. It can be preserved that long. My idea is I'm working with my family to make sure that this stuff stays out there. And, I'm going to talk to, my wife, and then ultimately I want to leave instructions to my daughter that, and then leave it to, to family heirs down the road after that, where these things stay out there. And someone who's going back 100 years from now, for instance, looking at the bourbon boom, let's hear from the people that actually did these things. Now, I love that idea. I think that that's where this stuff could be, pretty important. That falls more on the Bourbon Show side, where we're interviewing individuals and things like that, than necessarily the Bourbon Daily, which is more of a fun look at things. But we've done some of those type of shows. We've done some interviews on the Bourbon Daily as well. But I think that stuff's important. I also think the stuff that we're doing with, making movies. Again, digital files we're creating, and we're interviewing people that are making whiskey today. Our movie Blending is trending. In that movie, we interviewed Al Young. And as far as I know, it's the only time on film where he tells the story of Four Roses. Now, I've certainly heard him tell that story a lot of times. I went to a lot of tastings and things like that where he tells that story. But in that movie, he tells that story. It's documented then versus, word of mouth type of transfer of information, which is always good, where, anybody who's heard Al tell that story through the years can tell others. But the fact that we've preserved it through that video is incredible. And that's again, one of the most important things that I think that we do with these movies is what's it going to mean down the road, and so that really drives me. When you get on the wrong side of 50, I think you start thinking about those things, legacy and the future, and will people remember these things? And I just think that the stuff that we're doing is, while fun, is also pretty darn important, and could play a role down the road for people that are researching and wanting to find out, because we're an incredible time for bourbon, and we know that there's ups and downs. So though at some point things won't be as good, and then hopefully when we hit that point, it'll come back, it'll rebound, and people will come back to it, and then they're going to want to know about the past, those times in the early 2000s to mid 2000s where bourbon was going crazy. What was driving that? What were the people saying about it at the time, and things like that? So I don't know. It's just cool to think about whether that's true or not. I don't know. Maybe we'll make all these things and no one will give a damn ever, and that could be too. Because it's not a problem with me, because you know what? As we do these things, it's fun. I like it. It's a hobby. I like meeting bourbon people. I like hearing their stories, and I like being able to tell it to, if nothing else, the people of today. And that's actually okay if that's all that ever happens to it. So there you go. On that note, I'm going to tell you my lineup today, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and actually try these. I'm letting them air out, and I'll tell you what, the bouquet that is in this room right now, I'm in my studio at my house. I wish it always smelled like this. I've got these 4 glasses poured here. I'm letting them open up. I've had them sitting about 15 minutes, which I think is a good idea. Anytime you're talking about old dusty whiskey, you want to put it in the glass. You want to leave it there for a while. Those fragrances can be very tight sometimes. You get that kind of dusty funk. But if you let it sit there, let some air come to it, let it breathe a little bit, those notes will begin to open up. And I think that's where we're at right now, based on what I'm getting just sitting here. So we're going to be trying some 1910 Labatt and Graham. So what is Labatt and Graham? Who is this? Well, Old Forester. I think you've all heard of Old Forester and where that distillery is now. That is the old Labatt and Graham distillery. So that's going to be one that we do. This one here, I'm not familiar with the brand itself, but it's from 1917. Again, both of these pre-Prohibition. So this is Van Hook. Van Hook from 1917. Again, a brand name that went away, and maybe somebody owns that now and is planning on bringing it back or that type of thing, but we're going to be trying some of that. Then I've got, this was distilled in 1960. I'm not sure when it was released. I just have when it was distilled on the bottle that I got here, but some old Oscar Pepper. So that's a pretty cool thing. So old Oscar Pepper, at one time was one of the biggest brands in the world, and it has ties back to the great Dr. James Crow, was a distiller for them. So, very historic brand. Obviously, 1960 is well after Dr. Crow, but he has the ties there. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then last but not least, you talk about a classic when you're talking about vintage whiskey, maybe the one that is considered the greatest of all time, Old Crow Chessman from 1969. Some people say that is the best whiskey that's ever been made. We're going to try that one as well. We'll try all 4 of these. We'll get to that after the break. Talk to you in a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of Executive Bourbon Steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your Executive Bourbon Steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your Executive Bourbon Steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at neelyfamilydistillery.com.
This is Kathy Cole. I am not KK Poppins, and you are listening to the Bourbon Daily.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Steve Akley, and I'm here in my home studio. Got my neighbor. I haven't cut my grass. This is early November as I'm recording this. I haven't cut my grass at my house in like a month, and it doesn't need to be cut. Nothing's going on out there, but you have these neighbors that, for some reason, I don't know if they just want to get out there and get away from their families or what. They're still out there cutting. I got a guy next to me here. He's cutting the grass right now, of all things. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but hopefully you can't. But I certainly can. So that's going on right now in the background. What are the chances he's doing that? So first one's going to be Labatt and Graham. Again, this is from 1910 is the date that we've got on this one. So again, well before Prohibition. On the nose, it's sweet candy. I mean, this is Werther's candy on the nose all day long. So that's what I'm getting there. I haven't tried any old Labatt and Graham before. This is a very special pour for me. I'm pretty excited about that. And again, you're talking about a very historic distillery. And Woodford, I don't know what you think of that brand. Some people love it. To me, it tends to be more of a starter bourbon. I think it's flavorful. It's okay. A little bit underproofed for me. But that being said, the distillery tour itself is fantastic. It's so much history there. I love that place. It's really worth going to and checking out if you haven't done so already. So when you're checking out the Bourbon Trail and deciding where to go, even if you're like, I don't know about Woodford, I'm not that big of a fan. That doesn't matter. If you love bourbon, that should be on one of the places to go. So let's give this thing a taste here of the old Labatt and Graham. Oh, wow. So that one is just very nice. It's pleasant. Again, I don't know the proof on any of these things. This one's a very easy drinker. It almost, it's got that sweet caramel taste to it, but it's got a little bit of orange zest to it too. This one be one that kind of tastes like a little bit of a classic old fashioned. Sometimes you get those notes where it's like, hey, this is a pre-mixed cocktail in the bottle, though it has nothing to do with flavoring or anything like that. It's just what's coming out of the glass. Very good stuff. This is a great whiskey, and it feels, probably as fresh today as it did as someone drinking it in 1910. That's over 100 years ago. Think about that. You see these old cowboy movies and stuff like that where people coming in the saloons with those half doors that open up and stuff like that. This is, that era of people drinking and stuff like that. And then sometimes we think anything back then must have been terrible, old rot gut stuff. No, they were making some really good stuff back then. And this one's a testament to that. Really good stuff. If they could recreate this flavor profile, they would be billionaires. Whoever was able to come up with this taste and this flavor today. It's just not out there. Nobody's making whiskey that tastes like this today. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's production changes, the grains, the wood that they use. There's all kinds of different reasons. The equipment they're using to make it versus what they're using back then. Again, that's a whole different show by itself, but this is some really amazing stuff. So that was our first one. Our next one up is Van Hook, and this is from 1917. So this is, again, prior to Prohibition. Prohibition is nearing at this point. You're buying those bottles, and hopefully you get a feel for that and you're squirreling some away, because it wasn't illegal to own whiskey. It wasn't illegal to consume whiskey during Prohibition. It was illegal to sell whiskey. So, if Prohibition would happen right now, again, I don't want that to happen. I think it's a terrible idea. It was not good for the U.S. It actually put us behind. I always like to say, people like to say how old, Scotch is or Irish whiskey. They were so far ahead of us. No, they weren't. They absolutely were not. We were neck and neck with those guys, because when you talked about the modern era, bottling the product, distribution, and all those things, we all kind of came into that together. We might have actually been ahead of Scotch and Irish whiskey, but we had this crippling thing called Prohibition where production stops. That's when they truly jump ahead of us. That's when, that's when they became a much bigger thing than us. Yes, those are both older expressions of whiskey than bourbon is. In terms of when they're produced. But again, you're talking about farm production, people, making it with a distill, not even necessarily in business, just making it for their local community. But when you're talking about whiskey industry, America was on the same page, and like I said, if not ahead of anybody else in the world. So that's pretty interesting. So here's Van Hook. Let's give. I know nothing about Van Hook. Never heard of this brand or anything like that until I got this sample. But again, 1917. On the nose, different on the nose, also very good. I would say, again, kind of classic notes. There's a little bit of tobacco on this one on the nose. But again, those are classic notes. This is what we expect bourbon to nose like and things like that. And it's just a little bit different than the last one, but also very good. So let me try it. Yeah, this one, it's good. It feels like it's a little bit higher proof. It really stays with you. I mean, it's nice and warm. This would be, what people call the Kentucky Hug. This one certainly has that versus the other one, which was such an easy drinker. Again, kind of like a caramel candy with, remember those ones, your grandma used to have in the dish, and they would say like, orange, or they're soft caramel wrapped with a cream filling, but the cream filling had different flavors. This would just be the caramel and the vanilla one. The one that said vanilla, I think it was like a blue package, blue foil, it was on it. Then you got like the orange and grape and all kinds of them. But this one would be the one, that's what it tastes like to me. So it tastes like vanilla caramel. So yeah, very, very good. All right. This next one I'm excited about. This one, old Oscar Pepper. Again, one of the biggest brands in the world at some point, and pretty excited about that, to be able to try this. This was distilled in 1960. So you're talking about probably released, bourbon is starting to slow down a little bit, 1960 it's distilled, because they're probably looking at releasing it around, 65, 66, somewhere in there. Things are going okay, but starting to slow down. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this one kind of lowest amount on the nose, less than the other ones, certainly for sure. I don't know. I would say clean notes. So what I mean by that is not an overabundance of different things coming at you. Sometimes you nose, you're like, I can get 100 things out of here. This is a little bit less nuanced than that, but still pleasant on the nose for sure. And let's see what we got on the taste. Wow, that is really good. That is incredible on the taste. So you got a lot going on the taste. I talked about a little on the nose. That's got a lot. There's almost sweetness, like a bubble gum in the taste here. it might be my favorite so far by taste. That's really got a lot going on. Let me get another sip of that. Yeah, that bubble gum certainly is there. Then you're getting a little bit of oak caramel, and then it even has a little nuance, kind of like a Scotch or something like that in there. Kind of a single malt note on the back end. Again, I don't know why that is. It's just kind of what it is. There's also some kind of cereal grain notes in there too. So almost a sweet breakfast cereal type of taste to it. So yeah, really, really good. So they might have thrown some Fruity Pebbles in there or something, man. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, the last one I'm going to be trying, the Chessman, the famous Chessman from 1969. Again, there's many people out there will tell you that this is the best whiskey that's ever been made. I mean, think about that. All the whiskeys out there, you've got people that have tried a lot more of these than I have. And they will tell you that the Old Crow Chessman is the greatest whiskey that's ever been made. There are some people, I post about this online occasionally because I have tried this one in the past. I actually owned, in my lifetime, 2 Old Crow Chessmen, which is kind of cool. I actually had two Kings, which is pretty awesome. And I tasted and enjoyed both those, drank them, and shared them with friends, all those type of things. But it's been years since I've had them. It's actually been years since I've had an Old Crow Chessman. So pretty excited about this. But there are some people that say that they didn't actually make that product. They sourced it. They famously had some problems, some production issues. I don't know. There's nothing in the history books. There's nothing that says they didn't make it themselves. But when I post about it, there's a couple of people who say absolutely they got this. Old timers who worked there at the time, that National Distillers, will tell you that they didn't make this product. They actually sourced it. I have no idea. I'm not commenting one way or another. I have no insight. I just know what people have said, what people have told me. So, all right. On the nose. On the nose, this one is, the grain certainly comes out in here. I mean, it's got that. It's also got a little nuance of some like baked spices and cake and stuff like that. So very, very good on the nose. Solid offering for sure. Let's taste it. Let's see if it stands up. Greatest whiskey of all time. Let's see. Oh yeah, I mean that's just so nice. It's just so subtle. It's got a little bit of everything there. There is that sweetness there. The baked goods comes out in the taste. It's also got the taste of the oak certainly comes through. There is tobacco in this one too, I would say. Even almost like some sweet pipe smoke comes in there. There is also some fruity notes, almost like a peaches and stuff like that. Very, very good stuff. So, can't be beat. I certainly enjoyed all of these today. These would be whiskeys that I would love to have on my shelf and to be able to share with my friends, just like someone has done here with me. That's the great thing about whiskey. These are 2 people that I know, not necessarily well. Enough to be given, great whiskey like this. That's pretty darn cool. And that's what the bourbon community is. People who share, and that's what people have done with me right here. I love it. I've enjoyed this tasting, and what an honor it is to go back in time. Some of these were made before my grandparents were born, if you think about that. That's pretty wild to think about. Now, I do have one grandfather who was born in 1893 or 95 or something like that. That's crazy. None of this is older than him, but it's certainly some old stuff. But my grandma was born in 1917, so actually got to taste whiskey that was made before she was born, which is hard to believe. I mean, you think about that and the fact that it goes back that far, and you think anything that was made back then. I'm talking about food, anything to drink. Even you put water in a bottle and you drink it, that wouldn't be any good. So the fact that whiskey is preserved and able to enjoy today is pretty amazing stuff. So thank you so much to the 2 individuals that gave me this. I really appreciate it. And hey, send any more this way. I would love it. I enjoy things like this, and this was a fun tasting for sure. We're going to wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. I'm here by myself today, so I can be found at abvbarrelshop.com on a regular basis. That's where I hang out. That is the store that where we sell single barrels. Of course, we've got an online presence at abvnetwork.com. That's where everything that we do is out there. So previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. I'm also on all the social medias at Steve Akley. So anywhere you want to go, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, if you call it that. I'm on all of those as well. And if you want to get involved in the show, you certainly can. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One way you can get involved and be part of what we're doing is review the show. Give us a 5-star review, include comments. What happens with that is it puts us up in the algorithms where new people can find the show. And that's always important to us. We appreciate that. And of course, if you want to get involved and you like this and it's entertainment that you enjoy, I think, getting involved in Patreon is a way to do that. How do you keep people motivated that provide content that doesn't cost anything? Patreon is that way. And some people sometimes don't see the importance of that, but how do you think people do all this stuff that you listen to every day? Why do you think people do that sort of thing? Well, it's because they're motivated by the funds that they're getting on Patreon. So that's a very important component of this as well. So head over to patreon.com/the ABV Network. Certainly appreciate you being part of the show in that way as well. So on that note, that's going to wrap this one up, but we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya. Peace. Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing, the ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akley production.